The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the usual quiet of my grandparents' farmhouse, the creak of old wood settling, the distant hum of the tractor left idling in the field, but something deeper. A vacuum, like the world had been muted. I remember standing in the kitchen, the linoleum cold under my bare feet, staring at the half-peeled potato in my hand. The knife had slipped, nicking my thumb, but I hadn't felt it. That was the first sign. I was 12 that summer, sent to stay with Nana and Pops while my parents worked things out. The farm was a sprawling patchwork of cornfields and rusted machinery, the kind of place where time moved slower, thicker. I spent my days chasing fireflies and my nights curled under a quilt, listening to the crickets sing. It was safe. Until it wasn't. The second sign came at dusk. I was dragging a stick along the fence line, pretending it was a sword, when I saw it, a shadow, tall and too thin, standing at the edge of the corn. Not moving, not breathing, just watching. My skin prickled, but when I blinked, it was gone. I told myself it was a scarecrow. Pops had plenty of those, their straw-stuffed arms sagging with age. But scarecrows don't have eyes. And they don't smile. That night, I woke to the sound of something scratching at the window. Not the usual tap-tap of tree branches. This was deliberate, methodical, like fingers tracing the glass, searching for a way in. I pulled the quilt over my head, my breath coming in short, sharp bursts. "Just the wind," I whispered. But the wind doesn't whisper back. The next morning, Nana made pancakes. The smell of syrup should have been comforting, but all I could focus on was the way her hands trembled as she poured the batter. She kept glancing at the door, her lips pressed into a tight line. "Pops was gone," she said. "Gone where?" "Just gone," she repeated, her voice hollow. I found his boots by the barn. They were still laced, still warm, as if he'd stepped right out of them. And then I saw the footprints, not his, not human, leading toward the corn, 3 long toes, clawed at the ends, pressed deep into the mud. My stomach twisted. I followed them. The corn swallowed me whole. The stalks were too close, too tall, their leaves whispering secrets as I pushed through. The air smelled wrong, metallic, like blood or rust, and then I heard it. A sound like radio static, but underneath, a voice. Not words, not language, just tones, rising and falling in a pattern that made my teeth ache. I ran. Branches lashed at my arms, my legs, but I didn't stop until I burst into the clearing, and there it was. It stood in the center of the field, taller than the corn, taller than the barn. Its skin was gray and stretched too tight over bones that bent in ways they shouldn't. Its head was elongated, the jaw unhinged like a snake's, and its eyes black. Endless. Locked onto mine. It didn't move. It didn't have to. Because I understood. This wasn't the first time it had been here. This wasn't even the first time I had been here. The memories crashed over me. Nights spent staring at the ceiling as something moved in the walls. Mornings where the sun rose a shade too red. Nana's voice saying the same words over and over like a record stuck on repeat. It had always been here, watching, waiting, and now it was done waiting. It stepped forward, and the world rippled. The sky peeled back like old wallpaper, revealing something vast and pulsing underneath. The cornfields writhed, the stalks twisting into shapes that hurt to look at. And then I saw the others, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, standing in perfect rows, their black eyes reflecting a light that didn't come from this world. This wasn't a farm, it never had been. The last thing I remember is the sound, that awful humming static, and the feeling of something cold sliding into my mind, rearranging the pieces. When I woke up, I was back in bed. Nana was humming in the kitchen, Pops was whistling outside, the sun was shining, everything was normal. Except for the mark on my arm. 3 thin lines, raised and red like claws had dragged across my skin. And the voice, not mine, not human, that whispered in the back of my skull every time I closed my eyes. "We're almost ready." I don't scream. I don't tell, because the worst part isn't the knowing, it's the waiting.